model of free markets. One is perfectly competitive market. The second one is monopoly, and the third one is oligopoly. Okay, and okay, perfect competition, pure monopoly, oligopoly. Pure monopoly, talking about a single firm that control the market. But we know, we realize that in practice, right? Uh, Usually we won't find this kind of what so-called pure one firm, right? It can be a multiple few firms that sharing the market. Only the difference is the firm who control 90% and above. Okay, that firm is, we call it monopoly, monopoly firm. The rest 10% share be a few, one or two other two or three firms in the market. They are not monopoly. The one who control more than 90%, we consider that firm is actually monopoly, right? So oligopoly is a few big firm, right? Big company. Few mean the definition of few. It can be 5, it can be 10. Some books say maximum is 10, 15. Some books say 20. So we assume that the best is, we assume that is not more than 20, even though there are books that have came across that mention that even 50 firm, 50 big firm that share a big market, they are also considered as oligopoly firm, right? They are also considered as really. But normally we consider only, not more than 20 firm, right? In the big market. And if market not big, maybe five big firm that share that market. Then of course, I think we already discussed on this slide, right? Talking about perfectly competitive market, right? There are three principles that everyone, all of us must understand, right? Okay, the first one is equilibrium point, is where it is about with the what we call the point of intersection between the supply curve and demand curve, right? The demand curve is, if you look into the graph, right? The vertical of that line on your graph is referred to the price of the goods. On lateral, or the bottom one, is actually the quantity of the products, right? So from left to right, right, top left to right, there is supply. Oh, sorry, there is demand curve, and the supply curve should be from right to left. And the point of intersection, that is the point of equilibrium. What it tells us about the point of equilibrium is no one, okay, is the point at which the quantity buyers want to buy equal to the quantity sellers want to sell. Kita nak beli, we want to buy 5 unit, that is the point, and that is the point where the sellers also willing to let go of 5 units. And at the same time, dia kata, in which highest price buyers are willing to pay equal to the lowest price that sellers willing to take. Actually, what we want to buy, and actually that is the highest price we want to buy. Actually, what we buy is at that point is not the lowest price. It's the highest price we are willing to let go our money for that product. At the same time, that is, the lowest price that the sellers willing to let go their product. So that is what the point of equilibrium. And the other two principles tadi kita lah. Another one, we call it the principle of marginal utility, refer to very much to the customer or the buyer, right? At certain point of our when we consume things, right? And the things that it become less satisfying, and less satisfying. Maybe the next unit, the what we call rasa tadi. I'll give you an example, right, about the pizza, right? You consume one slice of pizza, right? You feel very satisfied, very happy with that slice. When you go a second slice, a third slice, right, a fourth slice, then it getting less satisfying. This is what we call the principle of diminishing marginal utility. And the other one is principle of increasing marginal cost, actually refer to the producer or the sellers, right? At a certain point, all right, the additional unit of you want to produce the product or the units, it will cost you more. And at a certain point, I give you an example last time. at the last class about, to produce watermelon, right? 1 acre of watermelon, it costs you maybe 1 unit of watermelon costs you R1, right? You want to add 101, 102 and more, you can't afford. It will cost you more than R1 per unit of the watermelon. This is what we call principle of increasing marginal cost. Okay, just want to ask you, di mana we stop last time? Where we stop? Slide what? Slide berapa kita berhenti tu? Price. Anyone of you? Have we discussed slide number 8, the criteria of, huh? Have we discussed slide number 8, criteria of perfectly competitive market? Guys, di mana kita berhenti itu? Anyone of you? You boleh dengar ke ni? So silent. Slide number 4, Asra. Edit? This one. This one, we start at this slide, correct? Betul lah? Slide 4, okay. In that case, okay. This one that we just mentioned just now, right? I just mentioned about 3 models, 3 model of market competition or free market. Okay, perfect competition, pure monopoly, or oligopoly. Perfect competition, right? As we discussed, as we defined just now, right? A free market in which no buyer or seller have the power to significantly affect the prices at which goods are being exchanged. Yeah. So here actually perfect competition, there are 7 characteristics of perfect competition. Ada 7 ciri dia. And afterward we will look into that characteristic. Per monopoly, as I mentioned just now, right? You're talking about its definition is pure. You would use the word pure. Pure meaning only one. But in practice, right, on the ground, usually hardly we can find only one company that control the whole market, right? Usually, as it, there are also other company in the same market, but usually only 1 or 2, actually one lah, that control 90% of the market. So we consider that firm actually is monopoly, 90%, more than 90%, 90% or more, right? And the rest of the company, they are not, even though they're in the same market, they are not monopoly, right? So there are 10% maybe, right? Maybe another 2 or 3 firm, like in our place, right? Here in Malaysia, I think you are already, okay. Di Malaysia, siapa dia that you identified that monopoly? Just give me one example that monopoly company in Malaysia. Just one. Just one. TNB, right? Never miss about TNB, right? Okay. TNB is TNB is the sole a pure monopoly. I think everybody know, right? What is the TNB punya business, right? Produce electricity and sell the electricity. Okay, they are the main producer of electricity and sell to the clients. Yes, true, right? But my question is it TNB the sole producer of electricity? Muhammad Semis, yes. Cakap, kadang Semis. It is sole? It is sole company that produce electricity? Nampak tadi tapi yes, Muhammad Naim kata yes, TNB the only company that's or produce as a power company, okay, supply of power company of produce electricity and sell the electricity. Do you agree on that? Do you think other company we hear in Malaysia other company that they also produce electricity and sell the electricity? Ada tak di Malaysia? Meaning that you're telling us that it's not true that TNB is the sole company that produce electricity. I'm looking on the notes now. Saya tahu you tak mau cakap. Cakap apa usah, cakap dah banyak tak apa. Okay, saya pindah kata, oh no, sebenarnya left the meeting. Alright, and I want to share. My question is, it is the TNB is the sole, the only company that produce electricity. Here, we refer here in Malaysia. Sabah electricity. Okay, now I'm talking here in East Malaysia, West Malaysia. Sabah, of course. Sabah, they have their own, they have own company that deal with that electricity. Sabah Sedia Berhad, electricity Sedia Berhad. All right, I'm thinking here in West Malaysia.
Doctor, I think yes, as per my knowledge.
Yes, all right. Okay, for it. Why not? You can Google now, right? Can you Google now? Boleh tak you buat sekarang? I ask you now, okay, please go, I give you 1 minute. You ada handphone kan? Okay, you type power producing plant in Malaysia. Power producing plant in Malaysia. Power producing or power producers in Malaysia. You put it there. You tengok apa yang keluar. Power producing company ke tak apalah, plant ke in Malaysia, whatever you want to put, right? Try use the word power producing plant in Malaysia or company in Malaysia. I'll give you 1 minute. So ada tulis IPP, So siapa just now, I miss that selection. Siapa yang refer just now? IPP? Who mentioned IPP just now? I miss the name.
Saya Doktor IPP.
You kan? You get that one apa? Daripada mana? You Google just now, right? Or memang you tahu ada IPP di Malaysia?
Saya Google. And last class Doktor ada cakap.
Kan, betul kan? Ada company ya. You bagi one IPP company. Google again. IPP stand independent power producer, right? Independent power producer. Okay. You Google again. Brand Hill. Okay. Lagi. Ini syarikat yang you common, you tahu, kan? You Google lagi. Ada few. Kan? Correct? Right here is correct. Ada lagi. Okay, tak apa. So, what I'm telling you is, TNB is not the sole company that produce electricity. Okay? Others company, so we call it IPP, like independent power producer, right? So the few of this company, they also produce electricity. The only difference between this IPP with TNB is this company cannot sell their electricity direct to the customer. So what they produce is they have to sell it to TNB. So that the agreement, actually, there is a story behind this. Behind the emergence of IPP in Malaysia. Dia you boleh baca lah dulu, baca cerita je. Read the story of how, how this IPP emerged in the industry, in electric power industry in Malaysia. Dia ada sebab, dia ada cerita, dia ada history. Right? Then that will give you more understanding of what we call industry this power industry in Malaysia. Dulu memanglah, dulu kita when we have LLN, stand for Lembaga Elektrik Negara, LLN, Lembaga Elektrik Negara, right? But LLN is a government body, government body. So then we have one time, our government has decided to cooperate all those few company, right, that can generate money, company that body that can generate money like TNB, Telecom, and plantation. Maybe we can talk about Sandabi, and this company that governments, formally they are very much what we call the government body, and change it to in the form of corporates, right? So that's why come this LLN come up with the word TNB lah, lembaga TNB, Tenaga Malaysia Berhad, TNB, Tenaga Nasional Berhad, Tenaga Nasional Berhad. So they actually government link company, government link company. And even banks, the banks macam Maybank actually government link company, that belong, government have a share on that. Okay, tak apa. So that is monopoly, okay? Then oligopoly, we're talking about few company, big company, giant company. Kalau you tengok di Malaysia, kebanyakan this company, big company that, what we call dalam industri apa? So my question already, I think I put this one. Banyak dalam kita tengok di mana. In fact, is apply in over the world. Very much this kind of industry, the firm is very big, and they fall under this what we so-called oligopoly punya firm market atau models. Dalam industri apa? What kind of industry? Very much you can see this oligopoly punya company, big company.
Telecommunication industry.
Kuat sikit, tell me.
Telecommunication industry.
Telecommunication company, correct. And what more lagi? Electrical and electronics, right? Electrical electronic also we can see a lot of this big company, right? And they are we consider as oligopoly company. Telecommunication, correct? In Malaysia kita ada mana? Kita ada Celcom, kita ada Maxis, kita ada Astro, right? This is a big company, okay? Mana lagi di Malaysia? Maxis, apa ni? Celcom, DG, apa lagi? Any that I miss? Celcom, Maxis, DG. I mean big company. They have a big share in the market. Ada lagi kan? Maybe I miss, okay? So this is very much telecommunication company, banyak kan they are in this group, oligopoly, okay? Right, then kita continue dengan this is as mentioned, this is what we call the principle that apply in a perfectly competitive market. The first one, right? They apply in perfect competition market. So we have three principles that you must understand, right? First, call it equilibrium point of in the market, the point of intersection between supply curve and demand curve, right? With both party, whether seller want to sell the same numbers of that we want to buy and the same number of unit that the seller willing to let go with certain price, right? That we call it equilibrium point. That is the point of intersection between supply curve and demand curve. If you look into the graph, okay. And the second one is principle of diminishing marginal utility. I think I thought that I give you one example last meeting, right? Talking about this principle. When we consume, I give an example of pizza, right? Here we said here, generally each additional unit of good a person consume is less satisfying than each of the earlier units the person consume. I give an example, very simple example is Pizza Hut. When you order pizza, of course, big pizza, for example. Okay, there are a few slices for the big pizza. All right, you consume the first pizza, you feel very satisfying, right? Very satisfied. If taste is good, like everything, right? But the extra unit, sorry, the extra unit, the second unit, the second slide, the third slide, the fourth slide goes on, getting less satisfying, less you feel good about that slice, about the pizza. That actually refer to the principle of diminishing marginal utility. The third one, the principle of increasing marginal cost, is actually refer to the producer or the seller, right? At a certain point of your, you know, of producing a thing, the goods, the extra point is the extra, what we call, when you add extra, to extra, it because you more at a certain point. As I said, lagi example last time about watermelon, you have 1 acre. You just recap balik. You'll be able to produce 100 unit of watermelon in that 1 acre of land that you have. That 1 acre is belong to you. So the market is very good. So you want to produce more than 100 unit. So when you produce more than, so at that point of producing 100 units, it costs you 100 per unit, $1, RM per unit. Then if you think you want to do more than 100, okay, you go for 100, 100 and more, it will cost you more. Definitely, it will cost you more. Definitely lah. You only have 1 acre, then you want to produce more. Definitely, you have to hire, you have to rent land, or you buy land. You have to add extra manure, chemicals, that kind of thing. So definitely, it will cost you more. So we refer to this as a principle of increasing marginal cost at one point, right? To produce extra unit, it will cost you more. So these are the three principles that apply in perfectly competitive market. Okay, apply in perfectly competitive market. And this is the one I mentioned about supply curve and demand curve. I think you can read this one. Tak ada masalah. The simple tip, those who have book, you boleh tengok dalam buku, right? It's explain you in the graph, right? In the graph, it show how it looks, how the supply demand curve and the supply curve, right? And they put that together at the point of intersection, that is equilibrium point. It's well defined, well explained, simple saja. Okay. Beside that, dalam perfectly competitive market, kita ada inilah, what we call, okay, kita ada alright, sorry. Ini pun kita ni. Kita ada 7. We have another 7 criteria, right? That's explain what this perfectly competitive market is all about, right? Dia kena ada 7 ni, You must have meet these 7 criteria. Only then we can tell that the market is actually perfectly competitive market. The first criteria said here, numerous buyers and sellers and has a substantial share of the market. Kata, mesti ada dalam market tu, mesti, a must have many sellers, must have many buyers. That is one criteria. Okay, numerous buyers and numerous sellers, and has substantial share of the market. Not like monopoly, the sole one or on market, one or two or three, and not also in oligopoly where they have few big company. But here, right, in perfect competition, we have numerous. We have a micro firm, micro businesses. We have small businesses. We have medium businesses. This is all the businesses, defined that they are actually fall under this category in the perfect competitive market. Nasi lemak we're studying, depan rumah kita, there is actually perfect competition. Okay, perfect competition. The second criteria of perfect competition is here, all buyers and sellers can freely and immediately enter or leave the market. Kita ambil example tadi, nasi lemak, right? in front of my house, okay, left or right, facing my house facing the road, main road. Okay, in front of my house, I think not less than 20. Eh? Okay, both side, not less than 20 sellers of nasi lemak, about 1 kilometer radius. Right. So I have about 20, easily, I can, we can get about 20 people, 20 sellers that sells nasi lemak. This is so we call it numerous, banyak. And of course, the buyers also ramai, a lot of buyers. So it meet the first one, it meet the second one, right? Because no one stop you. You want to sell, you just go ahead. Ada sikit meja kecil, tak di situ je punya, right? Small desk, small tables, right? You just put your thing, nasi lemak on it. And the size also sama, kan? The shape of nasi lemak also in Kedah sama ya, right? There are two shape here. One is a triangle one, and the one is cost you RM1, and the other one, the bungkus one, they call you 150, right? So the product is all the same, right? Every buyer and seller have full and perfect knowledge of what every other buyers and sellers doing. Kita ambil contoh jasa nasi lemak, everybody know. Buyers know, the sellers know on everything. Dia punya competitors pun dia tahu. And we are a buyer, we know there are other this sellers, we have numerous sellers of nasi lemak. We know that, perfectly we know that. So in perfect liberty market, okay, this we must have this criteria, right? So we discovered the number 3, then we look in the number 4. He said here the goods being sold in the market are so similar to each other that no one care from whom is buy or sell. Nasi lemak sama lah kan, that's it. I think in Langor was the same, right? They have very much on that shape of nasi lemak. They have tiga triangles too, and that sell, I don't know, maybe price a bit dearer ski in Selangor, in Kuala Lumpur, but the shape the same, and we don't care, right? To whom these people buy, and kita tak kisah, because of that similarity of the goods and product. Sama jugalah bisa ada product, not nasi lemak, right? You want to buy maybe what we call thing on you punya baju, kan? Baju for hari raya, coming hari raya, you have belik baju Melayu, belik dress. So similarly, you go semua shape yang sama, lebih kurang sama saja, right? And we don't care to whom you buy, and the seller, we don't care to whom the seller want to sell, right? Okay, number 5 said the cost and the benefit of producing or using the good being exchanged or bond entirely by those buying or selling of the good, not by any other external party. Right, the cost and benefit that you will get from the business activity is entirely borne by you. No one involved in that part, right? How much you keluar you punya capital to produce the product, and how much benefits that you get from your business activity doesn't involve somebody else, right? Maybe lah aku along ada aku, I don't know, but kalau what we call the real understanding of that is nobody involved, no other third party involved on that process, right? Of getting your capital, how much your profit that you get from your business activities. Nobody involved on that process. Okay, all buyers and mostly all buyers seller are utility maximizer, meaning that all buyers and sellers, we are going for the maximum benefits, and we're going for maximum benefit. Utility maximizer, which is refer to the first concept, utilitarian concept, is talking about the word utility, and everyone have the alternative, and everyone will go for the alternative that give you the best, what we call the maximum utilizers, utility, maximum utility. In other words, maximum benefit that you get from that process. That exchange tadi lah. Seller pun sama, dia go for the maximum benefit, profit. Kita pun as a sellers, we go the maximum benefit of our of the product. So everybody will go to the best alternative that offer on that particular product. All right. And the last one, this is the one a bit tricky sikit. For perfect competitive market, right? There be no interference. It said here, no external party, and put a bracket that such as the government. And usually, when we talk about third party, we like to refer to government, right? That regulate the price, the quantity, the quality of the good being bought and sold in the market. Meaning that dalam perfectly competitive markets, no zero interventions of the government, right? On determining of the price of the cost of the price of the goods, right? The quantity that you want to buy, or the seller would like to tell, the quality of the product, all determined by the market. No interference from the government. Okay, kita ambil kata contoh di Malaysia. Do we have a business that memang, and we recognize, right? In Malaysia, we are very much have this model, right? We call it a perfectly competitive market, right? We have numerous, as I mentioned, just one example, nasi lemak, that kind of thing. So, in Malaysia, there are zero intervention of, kita ambil contoh lah, just now, same contoh nasi lemak. Is it any intervention of government dalam proses nasi lemak punya ni, business? Ada tak intervention of government? Involvement of government dalam nasi lemak? Yes or no? Simple saya bagi soalan. My question, is it government involved dalam business lemak, in the nasi lemak business? For international student, I think you know, you've been here quite some time, and you're at least semua, you know, when I said nasi lemak, you know what is nasi lemak. Of course, Indonesian, definitely you know. So our friend from Middle East, from Algeria, can you listen to me? Can you hear my voice? Can you follow?
Yes,
Naim?
doctor.
Yes. All right. Okay. What do you think? In this nasi lemak punya ni. Is it any intervention or involvement nasi lemak government on nasi lemak punya business? Yes or no? What do you think? Ada tak? Ini we can say nasi lemak is really meet all these 7 criteria. Okay, I put it as a word. Ini nasi lemak punya business really meet all these 7 criteria. Yes or
No,
no?
doctor. I
No.
don't think so.
Okay. Why the reason? Why I said no?
By looking at like
Number
nasi
one.
lemak, because the business is usually small, so they don't need assistance from government.
Okay. We may say they don't need any help from the government, right? Meaning that it meet all this, right? Nasi lemak business is already they meet all the criteria, right? Yes or no? Correct or
Yeah.
not? That's why.
Yeah.
So you think that nasi lemak, because it really, we can say nasi lemak is perfectly competitive market because it meet all criteria from 1 to 7. And semua agree? I want to see on that. Is everybody agree on our friends punya argument that nasi lemak, yes, they meet all these 7 criteria and perfectly, they are in the perfectly competitive market. How about the rest? Yes or no? Simple saja. Yes or no? You agree or you don't agree? Yes, okay. Yes. Okay, banyak sekarang. Yes. Right. Okay. Fine. So kita major almost 100% agree that nasi lemak punya business meet all these 7 criteria. Okay, except me, kan? Except me. Except Amir. Dia tak agree. Kenapa tak agree? Why you say I don't agree? I said even in nasi lemak punya business also the government get involved in that. There are some intervention of government in the selling of nasi lemak. On this part. Maybe because it's not clear, right? Maybe it's a bit, not directly. You can see, you cannot see directly. That's why you said, okay, no, nasi lemak is, we can consider that is very much on perfectly competitive market because you don't see clearly, right? You don't show. Eh? We have plenty of that, and the business, small business, micro business is just a micro business. So it shouldn't be any intervention, direct intervention, no involvement of the government. Capital pun not much, right? Very much. Tetapi I said no, ada intervention. Which part? Cuma my question is which part that meat that nasi lemak also is not, 100% so-called what we call perfectly competitive market. They are in a competitive market, but I don't use the word perfectly. Meaning, if one to say perfectly, meaning that he have to meet all the 7 criteria. Even nasi lemak don't meet all the 7 criteria, right? He only made 6 of the criteria out of the 7, 6. Okay, we can say consider that is perfect competition, but not be perfect. Not is the competition, but it's not perfectly competition. Kenapa? Which part of nasi lemak? I will say that it's still under the what we call the involvement of government is there. Can't you see all those ingredients? Kan? Okay. Those ingredients. Nak buat nasi lemak, the first major thing kena ada apa? The first ingredient kena ada apa? Kena ada apa? Nasi lemak come from what?
Nasi,
Nasi, kan?
rice.
Rice, right? Rice is, you have a cost price of rice in Malaysia, there's no one control of the price of what we call rice in Malaysia. It's control, right? We have a shilling price, right, of rice in Malaysia. This grade, no, this is the shilling. You cannot go sell. The seller cannot sell more than that. We have shilling. Same likewise, and on the other ingredients. So meaning that still, when we said is perfectly no involvement at all, zero involvement. But to make nasi lemak, see the ingredient of to make nasi lemak, there are a lot of involvement of government there, especially on the ingredients, the sayur, on the rice itself, right? On the input of nasi lemak, that is controlled by the government. So that indirectly tell us that even nasi lemak is not 100% perfectly competitive market. What more with others, right? That's why we have a government as our, those, we have the agency who look after that of business in Malaysia, and this is the agency who, very much, look into on the how do we run the business. So we have the shilling price, that kind of thing, the supply, about the supply and demand of the thing, they all a concern of government, and sometimes government go into make that correction, involved in the correction of that. So this is what happened. Actually, it's not happened here in Malaysia. It's all over the world. You can see a lot of intervention from the government to the welfare of course, to give the service to the business people, of course, to the normal people, to the customer. Kita boleh nampak lah, kita baca dalam paper, right? When things become too expensive, recently we have a problem of chicken, too expensive. Okay, so government get involved in that. Okay, they put a shilling price, and so the government give the permit to import the chicken. So all this, the involvement of government is there. Okay, so kita can say that yes, we agree that in Malaysia and all over the world, okay, the perfectly cultivated market is there and widely practiced, but to say to really perfect and where it means all the cyber criteria is, I will say that is almost none, right? Almost none. The best is we can at least fulfill that 6 criteria, that 6 of the cyber criteria, kita ada 6 of 6 of 7. So still we can say dominance lah, right? Okay, again, okay, continuation of the characteristic of perfect competition. So I said here, achieve capitalist justice. Okay, the principle of justice, the principle of right, we will look into that. Caring. So talking about justice, right? For this perfectly competitive market, they only achieve so-called capitalist justice. And kita belajar itu, capitalist justice refer to what? What is capitalist justice? Dalam 6 divisions of principle of justice. Kita ada distributive justice, right? 6 principle of distributive justice. And one of that is capitalist justice. Capitalist justice refer to what? How we can say that is a justice? And the first thing kita define law. In free market, of course, it create a capitalist system. And a very clear capitalist system, we create what? In society, a class system, the class. Likewise, in the organization, we have class. Management, top management, middle management, right? We have classes. In society also, it create classes, right? So the most significant things about capitalist system, talking about justice, is on distributive justice is apa dia? That make it different from others. Why it make it different from others like raw punya justice, fundamental punya justice, right? Socialist punya justice. What capitalist justice refer to? It depend on what? Capitalist justice refer to how to your contribution, correct not? On the degree of your contributions, how much you contribute to the system, right? So the rich people, that's why we have the class system. Rich people because they contributes their parts, lot of on contributions to the market, to the system. For those who are not on lower part or a lower group, they contribute a little. So it's justice for that. There's justice. We cannot question on that. So capitalist system refer to justice on how much we contribute. Okay, how much we contribute to the system. I'm talking about economic system, how much we contribute to the economy. So that's why rich people, because they are rich and it's just a deal for them to be rich, right? It's just for them to be rich because the amount that they distribute to the system, to the economic system. It is just of you kita become poor. We are poor because how much that we contribute, how much we contribute to the system. If you contribute less, so justice is there, because you are on the bottom line, bottoms on society, whatever. So you're on the bottom one. You are is just or justified. You are in that group because of your contribution to the system. All right. See here again, justify a certain version of utilitarianism by maximizing utility or market participant, but not all of all society, right? Okay, we're talking about on utilitarian approach. Yes, okay, perfectly competitive market. It serve right on that what we call on that contact, right? Where is everyone is going for the choosing the best alternative, right, that they have, maximize their utility, but the problem is not applied to all society, and meaning the some limitation on utilitarian approach, right? So third one is that, on the right approach, talking about right in this concept of right, is it respect some moral right, negative right, but often not positive right. Okay, telling us kita tahu ada positive right, kita ada negative right, and contractual right. Okay, talking about these two first, right? In the context of perfectly competitive market, they only serve the negative right, not the positive right. Meaning that we know that negative right talking about leave alone, right, with our right, don't disturb our right. Talking about asking others to help us to get the right in a free market, in what we call perfectly almost none, and it's not significant. Very much talking about on right is we are referred to the negative right, not what is right. Okay, so okay, we continue a bit. Okay, okay, sorry, this one actually is refer to what so called monopoly punya characteristic, right? Afterward, we describe, we come back to that slide. Equilibrium in perfectly competitive market. Okay, and this one already discussed about how it works, right? And how it works, how the supply and demand curve work, right? And this we're talking about the equilibrium. You can read this one. Okay. Okay, utility in perfectly competitive market is the prices in system of perfectly complemented attract resources when demand is high and drive them away when demand is low. So resources are allocated efficiently. So in perfectly competitive markets, the using of the resources, right, raw material, whatever resources is usually very efficient. Right? Really very efficient because it depends on the market itself, right? So in this kind of situation, sometimes in the perfectly competitive, sometimes you create a surplus, right? Sometimes we create a shortage. So the market will adjust accordingly by using, with the using of the resources that they have. So eventually everything will go back to the point of equilibrium. Kalau, for example, go in the market, there are surplus. So there will be some kind of action taken, by the firm, by the market itself. And what you do involve is very much on the resources that they have. So that is the way they will adjust accordingly to the demand and the supply. And eventually, from the point of surplus, it will go back to the normal point. We will call it the point of equilibrium. If surplus, likewise, sama juga. So the market will act accordingly, and so that at the end it will go back to the point of equilibrium. So perfect competitive market encourage firm to use resource efficiently, right? So this is the good side of what we call a perfectly competitive market, and it will encourage, it will keep track on how you use your resources. And here you put the word is effectively, efficiently. We're talking about efficiently. Usually, we're talking about productivity, right? Part of it's a component of productivity. I go back just definition, understand the definition. Actually, we discussed already in principle of management, right? In productivity, we have two components, right? One is what we call it, over there, effectiveness, effective. Another one is we refer to efficient. This component, effective, efficient. when you produce goods, right? If you're a producer, you produce good, right? You have to maximize these two. You have to come out to produce the good. You must be effective of producing the food at the same time of efficient. But effective is not difficult, right? Effective meaning that simple there. Effective meaning under a definition. If you want to produce A, you'll be able to produce A, right? If you have the factory that produce a marker, black marker, and if you produce black marker, meaning that you are effective, and you meet already the criteria of effectiveness, but not necessarily you meet the another component, which is efficiency. Efficiency actually you're talking about cost, right? About cost. Maybe you produce one marker, you need one unit market cost you two ringgit, right? 2 ringgit of each marker. But your competitor be able to produce same black marker, and you're effective because you produce you produce the black marker. You're effective. Same thing with your competitor, they are effective because they produce black marker. But you are not less efficient compared to your competitor because your competitor be able to produce black marker with cost of 1 ringgit per unit. This we call it efficiency. This we call it efficiency. So in the perfectly competitive market, efficiency is very important. And the element of efficiency is very important. And most businesses, they will use that their whatever their goods secara efficient very efficiently. So this is one things good side about good things about perfectly competitive markets. We use the goods as efficient as possible. Perfect competitive market let customer buy the most satisfying bundle. Kita tahu lah kalau boleh kita nak beli as in the form bundle because it much cheaper, right? So they distribute goods in the way that maximize utility. So we will get benefit. We be able to maximize our benefit. Okay, this is the characteristics of perfectly competitive market. And this one again, we already discussed this one about right in the perfectly competitive market. Very much we are what we are focused only on the negative, right? Okay, perfectly competitive market respect the right of freely choose the business one enter, and no one stop you, right? You have the right whether you want to go your entry or at the same time you want to exit of the market. No one's force you. This done voluntarily, right? Secara sukarela, and nobody stop you. Nobody, put some constraint on you. You have that right. Nobody, that's why it's a negative right. Don't disturb don't question our right. In perfectly competitive exchanges of voluntary and respect the right of free choice. Okay, kita volunteer as mentioned just now as voluntary, whether we want to go in or come out, and it's your choice. What market that you want to go is your choice. In perfectly competitive market, no seller exit cohesion, meaning no pressure lah, cohesion by dictating prices. And when you as we mentioned just now, when it comes to the point of equilibrium, no one dictate the price of the goods, and whether the buyer or the seller. Okay, and the quantities that you want to buy or the seller want to sell, no one dictate that. No one force you. No cohesion. No pressure. So this is good side of what we call so-called tadi lah perfectly competitive market. So the second one kita akan we talk a bit on the second model, which is monopoly. Okay. Tadi kita define already. I think we have to define more about this. Characteristic of monopoly is one dominant seller control all or most on market product, and there are barriers to entry that keep other competitors out. Right? So in monopoly kita tahu satu the ability, right? The ability of the company be able to exert some barrier, some constraints to the newcomer, eh, to the new entry. So they are big and very big. They're strong, right? So they have the control of that market very much. Not just control, they also have the ability of, you know, have a barrier, a constraint for those newcomer want to go into that market. Ini yang kita kata tadi lah. Kalau di America, as a part of the world, they have what we call anti-monopoly law, right? There are certain acts, certain procedures, certain acts that will prevent this from happens. Meaning that they will allow, a monopoly company. In America, they have an act that prevent this kind of what we call model in their place in America. Sellers can extract monopoly profit by producing less than equilibrium quantity. This is the thing I said, because they are be able to manipulate the market, and they can create a shortage. They can create oversupply, a surplus. But of course, monopoly, they are not going to, uh, create a situation of surplus, right? Usually, they will create a situation of shortage, and this is what the result of shortage. Definitely, right? They can, push the price higher, right? When things become shortage, short of what we call. This is they're able to do that. Okay. High entry barrier keep the other competitor from bringing more product to the market. High entry barrier, yeah. So they have that ability to stop you of going to the market by having so many tricks, yeah, trick whatever measures that will make you stop of going into the market. Simple sajalah kalau you tengok what most monopoly company will do is when they know that the new entry will be in the market, they will bring down the price of the goods. And definitely, kita nak masuk, kita already know where is the even price. Kita kata even price. They even willing be able to produce below than the even price. So you're not going to make money. So you're going to lose. So definitely you go. If you go in, definitely you will come out, and you can pull out because they can do that. They know that it's only temporary. They can stand that. They can stand that on what we are creating the what we call artificial price, and lowering of the price. They can do that. So these few techniques, and in fact there are other techniques, other measures that they can do to put a break of new entry, put a barrier on new entry. Ethical weakness of monopolies, ini yang kita cakap lah. First one dia kata tadi, violates capitalist justice. Charging more for product than producer, no, they are worse, right? If you want to buy, because they are the sole one that sell the product. So you have no choice. So you force you to accept the product, even though maybe the product is not worth of the price. So they can do that. Violate utilitarianisms, right? Keeping resources out of monopoly. And we know, we understand that in utilitarian, you use as efficient as possible that resources that we have. But here, none. In fact, in monopoly, it's not their duty to make sure that it's efficient, using it as efficiently as possible. And very much, they create a situation of tadi artificials of ineffectiveness ataupun efficiency of the using the resources tadi. Saja-saja buat. Violate negative right. Okay. Why is it violate negative right? Okay. Talking about new entry lah, new business want to go in, right? Actually, everyone have the right to go into the market, but they have been able to, to stop that, then so it violate the negative right. As I said, if kita tahu about negative right is talking about no one, can, you are free. You have the right. You have no one can stop off our right now. But in monopoly, they can do that. They violate the negative right. Don't ganggu kita, don't disturb our right. So here in monopoly punya market, they can hurt you. They can stop that what we call your right of not disturbing of your right to enter the market. So they violate the what we call the negative right. So they are all the bad things about monopoly. That's why I said some country they have an act itself, but act itself that control this what we call so-called monopoly company. Right? Alright, kita ada a few one more, maybe one more of the slide. Okay, okay, now kita ada few minutes, kita try to discuss the last one. The last model is oligopolistic market, and we define already the definition of oligopoly is here. Major industry market are dominated by only a few firms. We define this one. I think all understand that. And the second definition said oligopolistic market are imperfectly competitive because they're lying in middle or between perfect competitive market and monopoly. So oligopoly is at the middle of that. So that's why we call it imperfect competitive market. Okay, imperfectly competitive market. It's not competitive market, neither is monopoly, right? Middle of that. So we call it imperfectly competitive market. So kalau you tengok the history or the storyline, the cases, right? When talking about issue of unethical in business, very much, right? Very much, I would say more than 80% of issue come from this company and this model, firm that in this group in what we call oligopoly, right? For example, issue of fixed pricing, issue of bid rigging, issue of manipulation of supply, right? So all this is dominant. This is a common issue in businesses, and very much of this issue is not caused by those small company in the perfectly competitive market. Very much they come from this what we call this model, from this model or oligopoly. So you boleh baca lah, actually here we have quite many of unethical behavior action taken by this what we call oligopoly company, this big company. The first one is price fixing lah, price fixing means some kind of agreement between among them, to fix the price. In perfect information market, kita tak fit lah. We don't fit the price. Who sell bad, the quality depend on the quality of the product they can live. But here they can do that. They can fit the price. The agreement among themselves, right? Kalau you baca dalam buku ada case study that involve few big company, and I think this company most of you us know, dalam electronics and electricals punya goods, and like LG, Sharp, that kind of thing, and involve the big company, an issue of fixing the price or price fixing. So what happened in America, and they were found guilty and they've been fined, charged them, and this company have to pay millions of dollars, on that charges, and even some of their top people have been jailed because of the issue of price fixing. Because as I said, American have very strict rule on this issue of price fixing, and the price fixing no other model that involved very much. Usually is this group, this what we call oligopoly firm. Manipulation of supply, market allocation. Market allocation talking about they have some agreement among themselves, and that they give the area of market. Okay, for example, firm A, you control north, like in Malaysia, or north of Malaysia. So it cover Kedah, Perlis, Penang. Okay, you will cover on this, right? Meaning other company will go in, right? We will cover south. C will go over east, or something like that. So meaning that you won't go and disturb, right? Yeah, yeah. The company it won't disturb your competitors in other, for example, in the south, and those company have been allocate in the north, so they're focused on the north. So the customer is north people, northern people. So this is what they can do. So we have no choice, right? So northern people, we have no other competitors. They're the only firm, right, that operate in northern area. They can do that. Bid rigging. Bid rigging ni, that's why another one. Anyone to share what is the meaning of bid rigging? Bid rigging ni selalunya dia is usually we can refer to very specific, very specific process ataupun involvement of the party dalam bid rigging ni. Beside them, beside this firm, and very much focused to another party, apa, they involve other party. Usually bid rigging involve government body lah, okay. Usually involve government body. For example, university lah, macam kita university, right? When kita want to buy, right? When we want to buy, for example, we have a new hostel, right? College, right? We need maybe beds, we need tables, right? Or we build apa, kita buat apa DKG, new DKG, we have new DKG, we need desk, we need chair, that kind of thing, you know. So we have to buy, right? So it involves this big rigging, right? Because usually when we bid, we put the price, right, is in the form of tender, tender. We buy in the box, banyak, we buy in box. So we put a tender. And of course, the producer of the certain, of course, okay, for example, kita kata the furniture. Furniture is actually only a few big company in Malaysia, right? They are the only company we are able to produce in bulk. And not kita pergi kedai furniture biasa because we only buy one or two. But here maybe hundreds, thousands of units of furniture. So only big company can do that. And the big company actually they are oligopoly. So what they do is they agree, they have some kind of pakat. Right? So okay, for UUM, okay, when they come up with a tender of to sell what we call asking for the furniture. Okay, we have 5 big company of furniture company in Malaysia. Maybe one will go for one. Make sure that out of 5 on this company will get that tender. So the other 4 will put higher price, and eventually UUM will choose this company. Actually, they pakat, there's an agreement. You go for UM, you go for eventually, other university will do the same thing. They have a tender of the furniture. Or, when you get, okay, we divide. Okay, this item we produce, this item, you are the only main contractor. Subcontractor leave to us. So they come out with that kind of agreement. So this we call it bid rigging. Bid rigging. They pakat, they have some kind of agreement among themselves, among furniture, among these big 4 or 5 big furniture company, that be able to produce in bulk and will go for the tender. So definitely one of out of 5, maybe 4 will pull out. Not actually pull out, we will pull out together, right? The other 4 will put higher price and got less than the one that you want, that A, for example, company A will get that tender. So the other 4 will put higher than the A company. So definitely they will go to the tender will get to the A company. But before that, they already have some kind of agreement. Yeah. So this is what we call it bid rigging. Okay, banyak lagi lah. I want you to look into that. Maybe we can discuss this coming Thursday on each of these, right? Or few of these, and go back, look into this, what we call the unethical behavior, unethical action taken by this, what so-called oligopolies firm, right? So with that, kita berhenti di sini. We stop here. We'll stop sharing the slide. I'll go back to attendance, right? For those who have not yet scan your attendance, you can do it now. For those yang can't, you have a problem with your technical problem with that, you have to send it now, so that I can do it manually now. For those have any question, you can. I'm still here, right? I'm still here. And for those tak ada apa, yes, you can leave, right? You can leave. See you, inshallah, this coming Thursday.